Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alphanine. All right, let's jump into this article right here. I hope everyone had a good day. This article is from zcrypto.com and it's titled XRP Lawsuit. Ripple Boss, Brad Garlinghouse, confident groundbreaking verdict is coming in weeks after him speech documents win. Let's read this a little bit here before I make my comments. It says Ripple Chief Executive Officer Brad Garlinghouse believes a ruling in his costly lawsuit with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is coming soon. Garlinghouse expects a verdict in weeks. I'll take that. No problem. I'm ready for it. And not months after the recent court news concerning the Hinman documents, which has to lead one to wonder what was in those documents. There has to be a cause for every effect. You know, one of our very esteemed subscribers here, Dr. Slimeball, uses cause and effect brilliantly. And, you know, I want to apply that here. So the effect is that Brad Garlinghouse believes that it's going to end soon. Now, listen, there's no guarantees. Brad is not in charge of what the judge is going to do. We got to keep that in mind. But there has to be something, a cause that led to that effect. He's not saying this for no reason. He could have said this before. Let's continue on here. Maybe there's a little bit more. This is XRP suit could be over sooner than you think. Brad Garlinghouse has hinted that a court case resolution is coming immediately after the release of the infamous. You see what I'm saying? After the infamous William Hinman materials. Why would they say it? They're saying this with such certainty? And I'm all for it. I'm going to remain balanced, but listen to that. Brad Garlinghouse has hinted that a court case resolution is coming immediately after the Hinman documents are released. There's something in those documents. And like I said, I don't care if I see it or not. I just need them to win. The goal here is to get the generational wealth, correct? We got to get that ball rolling. Something's in there. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I'm reading this. There's a bombshell in there somewhere and they're going to drop it on the SEC. It also makes a lot of sense of why the SEC was fighting so hard to not have them released. And it's still fighting hard. I had an article somewhere here where they're still trying to say, well, wait. That's just opinion in those emails. Come on now. So everything out of the mouths of every SEC official is opinion. So they're still trying to like muddy the waters a bit. If not, where it sets a legal precedent, at least in the minds of the people. There's something there. Oh, it's getting exciting right now. It is. Let's continue on here. It says, in a recent interview at Redfin Tomorrow 2023 Summit, Garlinghouse revealed that in terms of where things currently stand in the courtroom war with the SEC, he is confident of getting a decision in the coming weeks. He sounds happy too, so there's got to be a positive decision coming. The Ripple CEO pointed to the recent court ruling where the SEC's motion to keep Hinman documents under wraps was rejected by a federal judge back in 2021. Ripple cited the landmark Hinman speech as an indication that the SEC does not deem Bitcoin or Ethereum as security, contending that XRP should not be classified as a security either. Keep in mind, we have other precedents from other court cases that support us as well. So, I mean, exciting times right now. Yes, I feel everything still looks good. Listen, the overall economy of the world, the global economy is doing terrible. The West economy in particular is doing terrible. But, you know, as far as the bank coins and the trajectory that they're on, still continuing to push forward with partnerships, build corridors, and stay well positioned so that when everything clears up, that we can make some sort of run, possibly. Of course, there's no guarantees in anything, but that is looking good. Yes. So, you know, another thing is, it's just going to be the people's ability. I think something to keep in mind is going to be the people's ability to keep their minds in a good spot, because all of the stress of life, how harsh, the economies have been, day-to-day living has been very stressful for a lot of people. So now a lot of people have to deal with the stress of the down crypto market, who knows how people's stocks are doing or other investments are doing. The housing market could be, a little bit iffy, things like that. They have to deal with that stress in addition now to the stresses of life. So management of that stress is very important. Having some sort of relaxation mechanisms, whether it's you reading a book, going for a run. Only you know yourself, but it's good for everyone to have some sort of relaxation and keep a balanced life. So it's not just stress all the time. But circling back around, as far as just the trajectory of the bank coins in particular, everything continues to look good. It looks solid right now. And as a matter of fact, we're seeing more pushes from companies than we've seen in a long time, from Ripple's making massive pushes all over the place. You see all the companies building on Stellar making massive pushes. We've been covering BPV. Let's move on to another article here. All right. We have to, keep the victory in sight. You have to keep that strength in your heart. You can do anything. You can overcome anything. We will survive all of this. We will thrive out of this if we keep the lion mentality. We're hunters. We're the strong. We're not going to break. We're not going to fold. We're not going to bend. Listen, you can always do what you want to do. I'm not here to control you, tell you what to do. I'm just saying those with the lion mentality, the strong, the Spartans here, we know what the future is. We've always been long-term holders, most of us here. I don't speak for everybody, but I know most of us see the vision of what's coming in the future. And sooner rather than later, we will roar. But first, we got to make it through the jungle. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Not at all. I never expected it to be. I knew this was going to be a war. And they've definitely been fighting. They've been crushing and collapsing everything in sight. That's the way they take their power back and force the people to acquiesce to what they want to implement. We knew the crashes were coming. There's more to come. There's more to come. Just look at the house of cards. Look at the banking system. Look at commercial real estate. I don't think the people have seen anything yet. But that's why we stay mentally prepared, mentally strong. You see, when you have an enemy, it's not the physical attacks necessarily that can be the most devastating. A lot of times it's the psychological. So then what do we need to do to survive all this psychological, weaponry being used? Suppression of the crypto prices, bank coins in particular. We know that's going on. We know that's going on. Somebody may say, well, that's just speculation. Well, you can say that, but the banks just got out of a case where they got sued for what? The manipulation of the price of silver, because they know where silver is going to go and they're loading up on silver. Now, granted, they won that case. That doesn't mean nothing was going on. It just means they won that case. They had some good lawyers. But even the silver industry had to go to war with them over price manipulation. You think they're not doing that over the bank coins? See, this is why it's good to stay diversified in all the information across the different sectors. We know, so we know what's going on. Of course, look, what is a troy ounce worth right now of silver? $23, $24? It's fluctuating between $23, $24 for a troy ounce spot price. Bid versus asking price. You think that, and what's the projection for silver to go up to? The possible projection I saw silver go up to, and don't get me wrong, it could explode in the future, but they were talking about, what, $30? That's like the average I've been hearing. So you think that they wouldn't try to manipulate silver? And I'm just saying that's allegedly. This is what they were in court for. But you think that they might try to manipulate silver, but not manipulate bank coins that could be hundreds to possibly thousands of dollars? So, oh yeah, the psychological warfare is going to be on. So then what do we need to do? Strengthen our minds so that no weapon could cause us any type of damage. The mentally strong will make it to the finish line if that's what they see fit to do. Personally, I'm not taking any steps back. Personally, I'm not going anywhere. And once again, I say it again, I know we got a lot of new people here. I don't play with the bank coins at all. I 100% believe my position. Always have. All right, let's go into another article here. This is from ambcrypto.com. They don't want the people being that new 1%. They're gonna break and shake many people. That new 1% is a real thing. They're gonna stall them out, Make them wait long. Wake them. That's really the way that they really break people down. Make them wait. Make them wait. Delay, delay, delay. They know what they're doing. They've done this before in other industries. And then they're the only ones that benefit. Hey. So this next article here is from ambcrypto.com. And it's titled, Ripple versus SEC, time for XRP traders to play it safe. Never. I didn't come here for safety. I'm not expecting it to be easy. I'm expecting, and it has been a knockdown, drag out fight, and I'm always up for a fight. I mean, at least when I step on the mat, if I step into the ring or the octagon, I'm ready. Come hell or high water, victory or loss. Oh, I'm going to grow from this one way or the other. It doesn't make a difference. I'm telling you right now. I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow. And the next time I come back, I'm even stronger. But I'm going in with the mentality to win. Play it safe. Nothing's safe. Nothing's safe in life. You wake up, get out that bed in the morning. That's a heck of a miracle. I'm going to just put it like that. It's expedient to say so. It's risky getting in that car every day. Going to work. Risk. I'm not worried about any risk. I just speak for myself. I'm not speaking for everybody else. I'm not worried about that at all. I live right with risk, shoulder to shoulder with risk. But I also live with wisdom. See, wisdom takes all the edge off of riskiness. You're making all the possible calculations that you can. And even then, nothing's guaranteed, but we accept it. We accept it. That acceptance can bring comfort. But we're never too comfortable. We're comfortable being uncomfortable. So many in the crypto space believe that the disclosure of the Hinman documents will provide Ripple enough ammunition to win the case. I agree. Impacting XRP positively. However, traders don't quite share the same belief. I'm not worried about traders at all. I'm a long-term, baby. Long-term investor. I knew what that meant when I signed up for it. Just like I am in some stocks. Just like I am in commodities. Long-term, baby. According to CoinGlass data, the sentiment of traders has been rather negative as short positions taken against XRP have risen over the last few days. That's expected. I expect that. Over this period, XRP's price also fell. At press time, it was trading at 45 cents. The network growth of XRP had decreased as well, indicating that new users aren't as interested in buying XRP. Oh, if that's supposed to shake me. Listen, we knew and we know that this is going to come. This is going to increase. All right. Those who know. Those who understand what XRP can do. They have taken a certain position, and like Spartans, listen, they have their shields up, their spears, and we're going forward. Simple as that. It's velocity. And the die has already been cast. Alia iacta est. Yeah. Its velocity, however, remained consistent throughout the last few weeks, showcasing that the token was being traded actively despite high fluctuations in price. The release of the Hinman documents and the outcome of the lawsuit could provide some positive momentum, a lot of positive momentum, to XRP's price. Additionally, Ripple's other developments may also help in improving the state of XRP. Ripple enters new markets. Ripple recently revealed its selection to demonstrate a solution for tokenizing real estate assets in Hong Kong. Inaugural EHKD pilot program. Listen, it's not where you are, it's where you're going to be. Everything needs a building point, and that's what I speak about the most on this channel is potentiality. And the potentiality here where Ripple is setting up bases of development everywhere, relationships everywhere. It's starting here. They're going to build, and they should be building on an upward trajectory to spread out the different products that they can have these banks using. But they have to have a starting point somewhere. It's the same way where they began with, as for an example, how they began with Santander. With Santander, it was an XRP-based product. At first, what did they start out with? They started out with an initial offering of it was like a test product for, what was it, like stable coins or something like that. But obviously that relationship has grown. So it's like you begin in what is like a proving ground. These types of large business entities want you to prove yourself. And if you prove yourself, then yeah, sure, we can do more business. I think that that's fair. I think that's logical. If I don't know you and you're saying you got a good product, okay, but give me a sample. And if that sample is good, then we build on that sample. So it's going to take a little bit of time. There's another thing a lot of people don't understand, that these infrastructures that are changing the world, it takes time. And so far, if you ask me, compared to other infrastructures in the past, we've been moving at a breakneck pace. To each his own, though. You can believe what you want. It says here, the projected growth of real-world asset tokenization industry to a multi-trillion-dollar one by 2030 has resulted in increasing interest in utilizing this approach to tokenized commodities, particularly real estate. Let me pause there. And another thing, if you look at everywhere that Ripple is trying to establish itself, notice how they are setting themselves up to be one of the many glues, so to speak, to pull everything together. You have Ripple over there in China. Ripple is trying to really establish itself well. I mean, they really are already established well in the United States. It's just about being able to actuate that. And in order to do that, they have to defeat the disgusting SEC. But there, Europe, look how they can pull everything together. Do you understand how much value, how much capital could possibly flow through XRPL-based systems? XRP? And of course, they're not the only ones building on the XRPL. I mean, everything's looking good in my humble opinion. And then you see Stellar doing the exact same thing. Then you look at what Ripple was doing with their with that new CBDC platform that they built, where they were saying, listen, we're not just here to move wholesale. We can do retail as well. Ooh, interesting. All right. All right. So yeah, everything's looking good right now. It says this solution will operate on a private and secure ledger. Just my humble opinion. You don't have to agree. I can respect it. Disagree. I can respect the way that people want to operate. I have no problem with it. No problem whatsoever. I know I have to keep focused and I have to keep moving forward. And I am going to keep moving forward. I have a vision. I believe that through all this research, we see where everything is going. And for those who will be compliant, regulated, or survive into the future, those crypto companies, they stand to do very well. Most of the rest of crypto will not survive the onslaught that is coming for them. Whether via their connection to banks that could go under, or whether it's through regulation, and they will, after these big companies get done. That's why the SEC and the CFTC are starting with the big companies. Get them out of the way. Then they will go wild. They will destroy so many small companies. There's only going to be a few legit, original utility coin companies left after all of this. So that means that a lot of that capital will flow through them. Ripple, possibly, Stellar, Algorand, LCX, XDC. These are legit companies that have great relationships around the world with powerful entities all over. Multitude of them, by the way. So, okay, so now let's move on to another article here. So, a little bit of Stellar related news. Stellar, right? So this post here came from Lobster Wallet. It says, Lobster community, did you know at MoneyGram access for at Stellar.org USDC cash in and cash out is available in 16 countries. Plus, it's still $0 fee. Then it says for a limited time. Don't miss the chance to swap cash, crypto smoothly without requiring a bank account. I like this little push here. I'm starting to see a lot of activity, heightened activity from companies building on the Stellar chain, whether they're building wallets or other offerings on Stellar. I like to see that. I want to see more of a push, though, to be quite honest. I do. I don't mind if they wait until there's regulatory clarity, if that ever occurs, but I like to see this right now. Push more. You say you want to bank the unbanked and all that type of stuff. Okay, get into those neighborhoods. I want some more. I want some more advertisement. I really want to see you bank the unbanked and not through MoneyGram, directly from these companies like this. So this is a good start. Put more advertisements out there. How can anyone use you if they don't know you exist? That's how I feel. So they're starting to make this little push here. You see what BPV is doing. BPV is going after the big companies, right? Then you have a lot of these other offerings here. They're doing these wallets. I want all wallets across the world. Why not? But you have to make that push. The advertising is not difficult. and they can reach out to different entities that are willing to, it's like you're kind of trading. Okay, maybe we'll give you access to these initiatory products or such like that for a time. You give us some advertisement. You got to be willing to do good business and compromise a little bit. But they can get this type of advertisement out there into the world all over the place, and then see what happens. So then let's read this a little bit here. This is a little bit more Stellar related news. This is from Stronghold. It says, when it comes to payments, Stronghold prioritizes UX. Our seamless ACH solution is designed to make transactions effortless and hassle-free for both our merchants and their customers. So, Stronghold continues to shear things up, make it simpler, make it easier. We know that they're going after the banks, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about the banks that they're working with, actually. But, so far they're doing pretty good with the information that they have been divulging. But they continue to make it simpler. And one of the reasons why is that it's so complicated and difficult to use a lot of the different offerings on some of these blockchains. So when you have companies like Stronghold, BPV, making it extremely easy to deploy on a very advanced blockchain like Stellar, this is a very good thing. And that's going to possibly bring in a lot of business. Remember, this is all stuff that should be actuated in the future. Okay, there's steps to everything. Right now, they're still setting things up. I do believe that once we get a win in this SEC case, I think a lot of the Bankcoin companies will step forward. They'll be able to make more announcements, do a little bit more business, start to actuate things, put them into play. Because I think they're sitting on a lot of announcements. I really do. But that's just my humble guess. However, companies like Stronghold, BPV, they bring a lot to the table. Velo, Everynet. They've been making a huge push, even Velo, they've been making a huge push to really expand themselves in the uses, of course, of everything that's going to be happening on Stellar. That's going to bring some good congestion, in my humble opinion. And, we'll stay privy to the catalyst, and we'll see where everything goes. But as of right now, everything is looking good. It's just a matter of if people, believe in the projects or not, if people are going to be there at the end of the finish line or not, which is, that choice is up to them. They have to decide what's best for them, if you can make it that far. But things have been moving along. So now I want to cover this article here. It's from finbold.com. We'll just read this little tidbit here. It's from Robert Kiyosaki. It's titled, Robert Kiyosaki warns the U.S. is sitting on the edge of a Great Depression. We've heard not other economists, but we've heard economists iterate similar things. I've been saying that we're in a light version of a depression for about a year. That's just personally how I feel, at least in the West. Okay, not saying globally, but the West could drag global economy down 100%. As you can see, the ripple effects of not coming to an agreement on the debt ceiling crisis, as they're calling it. It says here, according to the financial educator, Robert Kiyosaki, small, haven't I been saying this? Small regional banks could follow their larger counterparts in collapses, but without the prospect of bailouts by the government. Unlike the national banks that are under the government's protection due to their systemic risk to the global economy. As Kiyosaki, and I've been talking about this, and here's the thing that they need to add in here. I don't know if they're going to, but the small regional banks that they're talking about, those are the ones that are heavy in commercial real estate loans. One of the reasons why we've been keeping up with commercial real estate, people better keep their eyes on that, because once one goes, it could start another and another. They said, if you remember, over 900 of them are at risk. Then keep in mind, the other sword of Damocles hanging over banks' heads, the unrealized losses, which are just gargantuan. So these are things like I'm keeping my eye on. Maybe nothing happens. But right now, that's a huge threat to the banking system, right? So, I mean, we can look at it in two ways. One is great for the new financial system. As they go down, the new financial system gets a little bit closer to being implemented. That's one. Two, the people on the ground, salt of the earth, people of the world, they have to be careful because a lot of them have their money in banks, right? All of it. And we have also seen recently banks have been freezing people's accounts en masse. Like, it's been increasing as of recent. So that's the second thing. So at the same time, people, I would think wise people would protect themselves. But on the other hand, them going down, new financial system moves closer to being implemented, right? So it's two ways I'm looking at that. It says, quote, if a regional bank in your area goes down, your town goes down with it, because it says, because there's no more credit going into the market. And when that happens, it goes to depression. And that's where we're sitting. We're sitting on the edge of not a recession, but a possible Great Depression. That's what I've been saying. We've been in a recession since last year, like early last year. And we have transitioned into a depression. That's how I felt. A light version of a depression, but depression nonetheless. That's how I feel. It says national versus regional banks. According to Sheckman, national banks are bailed out, quote, because they are so systemically tied to each other, quote, and, quote, too big to fail. That's a lie. See, this is why I respect the UK a little bit more, because the UK powers over there said, hey, our banks aren't too big to fail. Even though like a year prior, they said our banks are too big to fail. They came back and they said, hey, you know what? We messed up. The bank's not too big to fail. A little bit of honesty goes a long way. Well, it seems like the United States hasn't gotten to that stage just yet. So their, quote, balance sheets are so intertwined with one another systemically that if they fail, it would have ramifications for the entire global financial system, unquote. Quote, these large, too big to fail commercial banks are guaranteed by the Federal Reserve. I'm just going to leave that alone. There's so much I could say about the Fed, but others are already doing that. I mean, they've just been terrible, but I'll just leave it at that. It says they'll be bailed in. Bro, bail-ins again. They're talking about it again. They'll be bailed in where the depositors are general creditors of the bank. People are not hearing that. They don't care about the bail-ins as of now. It says, and the money that you deposit really belongs to the bank and not you. That is unbelievable. Every time I read about the bail-ins, don't get me wrong, we've been covering bail-ins since what, like maybe November last year, about November, December last year. But every time I read that, it's mind-blowing to me. So specifically, he was referring to the United States Senate testimony by Treasury Secretary on the 2024 budget in her reply to Oklahoma Senator James Lankford regarding the application of uninsured deposits thresholds in the making the depositors whole. Indeed, Yellen admitted that not all depositors would receive protection over the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation limits of $250,000 per account, and that government refunds of uninsured deposits would not extend to every bank that fails, but only to those that present a systemic risk to the financial system. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, so let's stop right there. Let's move on to another article here. So I wanted to read this a little bit here. This article is from fxstreet.com. Right? There's been a lot of dollar buying going on. People are retreating to U.S. Treasuries because of like fixed income and stuff like that in these very negative times, right? Negative times in a lot of these different sectors. It says, well, the markets are still disillusioned about everything going on in the U.S. and are still buying dollars. The dollar got bought yesterday with the BBDXY adding 3 index points to follow up the 2 index points it gained on Monday this week. The euro has lost 1.08 handle, and the rest of the currencies all look very weak compared with their levels of just 2 weeks ago. Here's an anecdote about the U.S. economy. Yesterday, the first left of our flight had only 65 passengers. That's the first flight I've taken in many years that wasn't maxed out with people. Something strange is going on here. And the disposable income that people had has all been spent. And the reason that's a big deal, well, without consumer consumption, GDP is dependent on government spending. And we all know that the government spending right now is not what it used to be because they have maxed out their spending. That's why we have the kabuki theater going on with the debt escalator talks. For those of you new to class or skipped to play horse, hooky, or something like that, I don't refer to the current drama as the debt ceiling. I call it the debt escalator because it only goes up. I agree with that. All right, so we've seen what the debt ceiling crisis, so to speak, has done to everything. Everything's been red, highly volatile, from cryptos to commodities and such like that. But if they do reach a deal, and I think that they will, but who knows? I don't know. We've seen a lot of unprecedented things happen over the last few years. But if they do, then things should balance out a little bit more, go back to normal, so to speak. All right, so now let's end off here with a little bit of platinum news, This is from economies.com, right? And it's titled, Platinum Price Surpasses the Initial Support. Platinum price provided strong negative attack yesterday to break the initial support at $1,040, which forms that weighted target in our previous report, to hint resuming the negative attack by reaching $1,025. Now, the continuous negative momentum by the major indicators will increase the chances of reaching new negative stations to target $1,005 level as a first station for the bearish track, while $965 support line might form the last station for the current trades. The expected trading range for today is between $1,040 and $1,000. All right. And like I said, I'm very for the future. I'm very bullish on platinum in the future. We'll see. It's like I said, they're having problems mining right now. I think in South Africa, load shedding has to be increased. They can't use as much electricity, something like that. So they're going to have a problem meeting demand, right? So there's not going to be enough. And if there's not enough, then what happens to that price when there's not enough? It's going to take some time for that to be realized, but that's still something that's on the table as of right now. And we'll see how that affects platinum's price. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.